Hey guys, it's Funky's Tech Tips. It's been a while since I've posted a video, and I found something I really enjoy. And what I enjoy is Game Boy Advance SP. I used to enjoy it a lot as a kid, and I stopped playing it. And one thing I really enjoy is Pokemon on Game Boy. Now I know you can get an emulator and do it all that way, but I wanted the actual stuff. So I went out and bought all the actual stuff. But one thing I noticed that you can't find is a Gameshark. And when you do find a Gameshark, they want like $100 for it, and they want like $50 for one that don't work on eBay. And I wasn't gonna wait forever and then get screwed or scammed, so I just waited. In my local mom and pop store, finally someone traded one in, and I picked it up. But my biggest problem was I couldn't figure out how to use it because basically everything's gone. Like, it's so old, there's no real good tutorials I could find to use my particular version, which I believe is the first version, but I'm not exactly sure. So I figured I'd make a quick video. And also I might outline a few of the common errors that you would see if you try to use one and it's not really working, and maybe a way to fix them. But I warn you, I am not liable for anything that happens to your Gameshark. If you break it, you break it. Not my fault. You accept liability if you do any of the stuff I tell you to do. Thanks. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna notice is some Gamesharks, like this is mine, have a release button on the side. Two of them. I removed one because the spring was broke, and essentially crammed my game back down in there. Pretty simple, fairly straightforward how to use this. You just slide it in once your game's in, and you're good to go. Except half the time it don't work when you first slide it in when you buy one, because they're so old. It's like, why isn't it working? A lot of times the error is something as simple as the game cartridge isn't plugged in all the way. But I've noticed with mine that inside of here where the game plugs in, there's a bunch of little pins that go all the way across where the game pad, the pads on the actual cartridge, touch the pins. Now the pins are just bent little hooks like this that push down when you put the game in to contact the pads. Well, if some little kid owned it before you and he decided to cram his shit in there real hard, he probably bent the pins. I spent a long time unbending pins. You don't want bent pins. Do you want bent pins? I don't want fucking bent pins. Bent pins are bad. They don't work. So I noticed that my game would start up and the Nintendo logo would be all distorted when it said Game Boy and then had Nintendo under it. It was all distorted, so it wouldn't start the game. Wouldn't even start the Gameshark. So then I thought, well, maybe it's the game. So I tried a couple other Pokemon games. Nothing would load. Not even a regular game would load. It wouldn't even load the Gameshark data. Like, it wouldn't show Gameshark on the screen or nothing. I took it all apart and found that the pins were bent. So I took a teeny little screwdriver, little metal screwdriver, and toothpicks, and slowly but surely re-bent the pins. It worked. Now my Gameshark works. One thing I also noticed that the codes for this one are different if you have this particular kind than the codes that will be on the black Gameshark and the action replays. This is a 12-digit code. If you see codes online for the Gameshark and it says it's Gameshark, but it's not 12 digits long on each code, like if it's like 8 digits long and you'd have some zeros at the end when you're putting a code in, it won't work. You need a 12-digit code. I found some 12-digit codes. I will try to get you a link in the description where I found some 12-digit codes. At least I'll try to get you a link to something that'll work for Pokemon Emerald. I don't know. I couldn't find anything for Ruby that worked. I don't know why. Maybe it was just my Ruby's picky. And for some reason, my Leaf Green, when I plug it into this, won't even let the thing turn on, even if the pins aren't bent. But Emerald worked. So it's just the luck of the draw, I guess. Because the thing's so old, I mean, you can't imagine everything's going to work. Not only that, this does not have any way to plug it in the computer and import codes. So I had to painstakingly add every code, one line at a time. Very annoying. But the best thing you can do when you get one of these, first thing you can do is check the pins. Best way to check the pins is make sure there's no cartridge in it. And since I've bent my pins a few times back and forth trying to get them right, I want to be very gentle. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but we'll try. Down in there, all of those pins must be forward. There is no pin that sits further back than the others. If you see a pin that is sitting further back than the others, it is bent. It needs to be forward. All these pins must contact the game. Even if there's a few pins back, it might turn on the Gameshark, but when you go to load the actual game, when you're done selecting your codes, it will not load the game. It will just crash or give you a white screen. And that is not good. So particularly, this Gameshark's hard to find codes for because it uses the old 12-digit fucking codes, and I couldn't find them, but after hours of searching, I found them. Some of them. I still don't have everything I want, but... And another thing to take note of when you're going to put a cartridge in it, be very gentle. Even if your pins are new and pristine, be gentle, because it's old. And just the slightest bit of pressure in the wrong direction will bend your pins. I can't stress enough how important the pins are. And be gentle when you insert it as well. Now, I will show you mine. Nintendo logo is intact. And it is starting. Alright. So, now, we will have a Gameshark. And there's Pokemon Emerald. It's going to be out of focus. Come on, focus. These are my codes. Now, the important thing to do is add codes. So, if you want to add a code, you would go to the bottom. It'll say Add New Cheat. Like that. Add New Cheat. Now, you'll press the B button. And it'll allow you to enter your name for your cheat. And then after you enter your name, it'll give you the option to add your codes for each cheat. So you name the cheat like Rare Candy Code. And then you add the 12-digit string in for the Rare Candy Code. For me, my version of Emerald, the Rare Candy Code that is one line does not work. I had to use the Mod Shop code, the free items in Mod Shop code, the all mice items 1 and 2 code for the rare candy to show up in the thing. Another thing you need to know, if you're using something like Mice Items 1, if it's split into 2 categories, like Mice Items 1 and 2, and then like Hold Items Part 1 and Hold Items Part 2, you can't just add one section. You can't be like Part 1 and try to load it. It won't work. You have to have both entered, or it will not work. Another thing I've noticed, sometimes it doesn't want to load the game, even if everything was fine before. A lot of times, for some reason, if you just unplug the thing and put it back in, it works again. And it's a very finicky device. It's very old, and it doesn't exactly do what you want it to sometimes. But Gameshark can still work if you get the right one. If you find one that works, it's fine. I see comments on forum posts from 2010 or 2006 that say stay away from Gameshark, they're terrible. They're lying. They're fine. Just don't use too many codes at once, and don't do anything that's going to destroy your save file. Especially if you're on Pokemon, do not use like infinite items in bag or infinite PC items. You will glitch your game out. It'll never be the same. You'll have to restart your save file. It's a pain in the ass. Now let me boot up my thing and show you what I got going on. I am going to turn on the Mod Shop, free Mod Shop items, all mice. And once you got your code selected, you hit start to start your game. It'll load your codes and start your game. Now if you select different codes, the next time you load it, it's going to say saving codes to database, don't turn off your thing or whatever. Do not turn off your Game Boy. You will ruin your save file. I've done that already. Now once my game loads here. Okay, so in my bag. Let's see, my bag isn't too spectacular. Hold on. I gotta go to my PC here and show you why I wanted the codes to begin with. PC, item storage, withdraw item. This is why I wanted a Gameshark. That. I can get enough rare candies and enough Master Balls that I can collect all the Pokemon with no effort. I've already beaten all the games once. I own one of every game. Of all the Game Boy games, all the Game Boy Color games, and all the Game Boy Advance games. Except for Mystery Dungeons. I don't like those. But, hey, To each his own. But that, my friends, is how you use a Gameshark for Game Boy Advance SP that is this color. I can't say anything about the other colors. I owned a black one as a kid. Couldn't find a black one. I called every single mom and pop game store in a 3-hour radius to find this thing for a year. I finally found one. And it was broke when I got it. But I fixed it. And that's all I can tell you for now. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything else you'd like me to ask, go ahead and ask. Maybe I'll make a video about it, if it's something I can answer. Have a great day, and keep playing.